Yes, yes, so Hairless here. Today we are back with a Patreon request. Thank you to Juliana for this one. This is a new artist, Brandi Carlile. I don't know her, I've never heard of her, but she apparently is a Grammy-winning singer-songwriter, known for the powerful dynamic contrast and emotionally raw vocal delivery. Apparently. This song, The Joke, is from 2018 and it won 3 Grammy Awards. Wow. Here are the lyrics on the screen. Do have a pause and a read. They are really very good. It's a song of empathy towards outsiders for whom everything will ultimately be okay. That's interesting, isn't it? The chattering, background chattering.
You're feeling nervous, aren't you, boy? With your quiet voice and impeccable style. Don't ever let them steal your joy and your gentle ways.
I like a vibrato.
From running wild.
It's very slow.
They can kick dirt in your face, dress you down and tell you that your place is in the middle when they hate the way you shine. See you tugging on your shirt, trying to hide inside of it and hide how much it hurts. Let them laugh while they can. Let them spin. Let them...
Yeah, she has that type of voice, the type of timbre or texture where voice cracks just sound so natural. They really complement her sound. It's such a powerful voice, a powerful sound, but it somewhat sounds a little bit fragmented. I imagine this is very much done on purpose by her, considering the lyrics, really, the emotional side of things. But her voice, it's a little bit coarse, especially when she's singing in this strong, belted chest voice. It's almost in a weird kind of way, like an operatic chest voice for a woman. I didn't want to pause there, but this seems like the kind of song where there are no real good pause points. And it's been 1.5 minutes. Of course, at the beginning, we had that silence, really, just introducing the video. I like this style of video, just face shots, black and white. There's something poignant about it, with then the occasional wider shot in between, such as the ballet dancer. Well, let's just go over a few things before we carry on. I might as well start with her voice. I mentioned as we were listening, I really like her vibrato. If you've seen my other videos, you probably can tell by now that I have a certain predilection towards the slower vibratos. Vibrato, the wobbles in the voice, literally is a rapid fluctuation between 2 notes, but it's so quick that it doesn't really sound like 2 notes. Hers is so much slower that it's almost perceptible to be 2 notes back and forth, back and forth.
You're feeling nervous, aren't you, boy? With your quiet voice.
Of course, every phrase, to keep things interesting, she's alternating whether she uses vibrato or not. This phrase, kind of, but not really.
An impeccable style.
And there, she doesn't. But what about the next phrase?
Don't ever let them steal your joy.
It's so exaggerated. Yeah, I really do like it. We also just got the bass coming in. Otherwise, it's a piano and voice accompaniment for the most part, until we then get the orchestral strings coming in, the cello. This song is from 2018, and I feel like in the 2010s, there really was a trend of having cellos.
They can kick dirt in your face, dress you down and tell you that...
Coming in really subtly there. Again, we get this bass note.
They can kick dirt in your
very percussive, but the cello has started to enter. It's really subtle.
face, dress you down and tell you that your place.
This sustained interval, bum, bum, and her melody, you know, it's contrary motion to it. Cello moving up and she's moving down, but she's in a scale passage. It's like a slower progression, almost like a degradation in a way. It's an almost contradictory case where contrasts complement each other. I didn't mean for all that alliteration, all those words beginning with C.
I see you tugging on your shirt.
You might have noticed when we were first listening, I was occasionally going like, I didn't want to make it too obvious, but the reason was to come back to now, because they're spaced quite far apart. It's again really the only percussive moments that we get.
Trying to hide inside of it and hide how much it hurts.
Everything seems quite restrained. Right now I'm thinking, okay, are we going to get a lot more instrumentation coming in later on? Are we going to get any new instruments or drums, like a full drum kit? Right now, I'm not so sure, so let's carry on and find out. Overall, though, the song is very obviously quite kind of restrained, restricted in various different ways. The harmony, the instrumentation, the rhythms, I'll touch on some of these things later on, I'm sure.
For a while they can let them spin. Let them scatter in the wind. I have been to the movies, I have seen it, and the jokes on discouraged, don't you, girl? It's your brother's world for a while longer. You gotta dance with the devil on a river to beat the stream. Call it living the dream, call it kicking the ladder. They come to kick dirt in your face, to call you weak and then displace you after carrying your baby on your back across the desert. I saw your eyes behind your hair, and you're looking tired, but you don't look scared. Let 'em laugh while they can.
Yeah, well, my question earlier that I was asking about the instrumentation, the more full percussion drum kit coming in, has been answered. Yes, that has happened. It's a very popular way of doing songs, isn't it? Especially when you want more focus, I think, on the lyrics and there's a certain growth or resolution in them, that you start softer, reserved, whatever way that might be, even the style of singing, right? And then there's gradual growth throughout the songs. I can think of so many of the artists that I've reacted to that do tend to do this in the majority of their songs. And the beauty of doing that is that you can have kind of climax moments, multiple of them, and you get a real sort of, I don't know, melodic arc. Maybe not that extreme, but you know, when it goes up and then down and up and down. The moment that made me smile is on the word joke, the important word of the song. This song is called The Joke.
And the jokes
It's almost like a very extreme yodel. This is quite fitting. Earlier I was talking about her slow vibrato, vibrato being fluctuation rapidly between two notes. A yodel is a rapid fluctuation between chest voice and head voice. And that's exactly what we get here with that, but just super, super slowed down. Really interesting, really impact. You know what? I'm going to listen to that again.
and the jokes
Yeah, I do like her vibrato. And having a cello here, the cello is an instrument often considered to be the most similar to humans in terms of its range, its timbre, how it sounds. It blends really well with human voices. So there's a somewhat natural transition between her voice with that slow vibrato into the cello. And you have the vibrato in the cello as well, quite slow. Very, very similar to her. Let's talk a little bit about the harmony. I mentioned the song seems to be kind of restrained or reserved, very purposefully, I think. And every song is made up of notes, and these notes make up chords. So far, the only chords, basically, for the whole song that we've heard are what we get in the introduction. That's two chords. There's our third chord. and then it goes back. So those chords are these. Or to view them simply, this is where, for the first time, 1.5 minutes in, or a bit less because of that silence at the beginning, we finally get a new chord.
Let them spin, let them scatter.
That's the new chord.
In the wind.
What is that new chord? Well, before we had... And we do still have that. And now the new chord. So all that's changed here is the middle note is moving down. And that, a chromatic full chromaticism is when you just move to consecutive notes like that. And chromaticism is often used, I find that anyway, for emotion in music. It can really give music some sadder or darker undertones. And we get that here. And then back. But then if we carry on, we get another new chord as she is going up with the power.
I have been to the movies, I have seen it, and the jokes are...
So what was that new chord? Then we had this. And then we go back. And then this is the new chord. So that's now this chord, which will move up chromatically to where we were before, and then again chromatic in the middle. So all these chords are very closely linked, and the two new chords we get are very much chromatic. You know, it's these lines that we can hear coming through as they transition. I think it's very effective. And although using just 3 chords for basically the whole song has its obvious limitations, when you do break away from this restrictive mold, it can be very powerful or noticeable in the music. And when you couple it with her voice, and when you have a new chord introduced, very seldom, but when it does happen, is at the same moment when she does this crazy slow yodel voice crack on the most important word of the song, quite impactful. I think we can all agree. If you enjoy these videos, please consider supporting me. You can buy me a coffee or hot chocolate, join our Patreon for loads of additional content that's not available on YouTube, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. All options are linked below, and a special thanks to everyone on the screen. Back to the video. After that, we move back into the verse.
You get discouraged, don't you, girl?
Obviously, the percussion is heavy now, the bass pedal, dum, ba-dum, dum, that kind of thing. But also we have the guitar coming in now. And the guitar, when you strum it, is naturally quite a percussive instrument. You have different strumming patterns. You could go chum, cha-cha-chum, or cha-cha-chum, cha-cha-chum. And each of them, other than obviously being the guitar notes, are rhythms that they're providing to the music. So we have that too. Listen out to the guitar strumming.
It's your brother's world for a while longer.
Complementing the really overpowering, the really, I don't know why it's so loud, but the bass pedal, it's a conscious decision. They've done it in studio and post-production. Do you think it's too loud? I don't know. I don't, but I'm thinking about it. It is really powerful compared to everything else. Oh, I'm curious now to see what they do with the rest of the song. Is it going to grow naturally or fade out or repeat or have something different? I spent a bit of time talking about the limited harmony, so it would be quite funny if they suddenly introduce loads of new chords. So let's continue and find out. Sorry, just notice as well now the nature of the cellos, especially. They're not being plucked, so it's not that pizzicato, but it's still very staccato. Look, I don't want to pause here amidst all these head voice vocalizations now, but I really should because of copyright. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. If you don't like that, tough. But yeah, what a range of voice and power. Power. Even with this power, and you know, now she's doing these head voice vocalizations, it still seems a little bit restrained or reserved, obviously done in post-production. In the introduction, I mentioned that Brandi is known apparently for her powerful dynamic contrast. We're definitely seeing that here. So much chest, and now we're getting the head voice come through, and the cracks that we're hearing are becoming progressively more frequent, more intense. I really like her slow vibrato, I do. You might have seen me look down at my arm at one point, and that's because I was getting the old goosebumps. And it's a really nice touch as well, bringing in the backing vocals, choir. No words, no homophony. Homophony would be them singing the same words at the same time in the same rhythms to her. But no, they're just going, ah, becoming louder and louder. Did they start with ah, or did they start with a more closed sound like ooh? I thought the cello was people then. That goes to show how similar they can sound. But no, the people aren't in yet. Let's go forward a bit. Okay, so they come straight in on ah. So it is an open sound, but we can really hear the volume increasing as the song is climaxing, progressing. I think I've done enough talking for a little copyright pause. Let's carry on until the end. There was only 30 seconds left or so, actually. All right. That's a nice percussive ritardando at the end there, slowing down gradually. And just before that we have, it sounds like a rock organ, actually. Could be a synth, but it's that vibrating sound. I don't know, there just seems to be a lot of vibrating going on in this song. Her vibrato, the cello, of course, the voice crack somewhat redolent of yodeling, using a sustaining instrument such as a rock organ that will vibrate like that. Yeah, really cool. And my question earlier about the harmony, are we going to see any more different chords? No, we didn't. So like I said, we only had 3 chords for most of the song, and the moments when she chose to bring in chords 4 and 5, which are very subtle, just kind of chromatic transitions into the main 3 chords, very impactful. I can imagine it's quite daunting if you sit down to write a song and you go, you know what? I'm going to only use 3 chords for this. You're limiting yourself massively. It's like sitting down to write an essay or a story and you can only use a certain number of words, you know? Sometimes though, less is more. And as we were approaching the end, it almost seemed like we were descending into chaos a little bit. We didn't, but let me find it. Especially through the strings, really exaggerated. As the violins are going up. It reminds me a lot of some ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. I'll play a few seconds from one of their songs. Again, only a few seconds because of copyright. Far more chaotic if I go earlier on. Not too related, but it's a similar orchestral style, and for some reason this song reminded me of that song, and those 2 songs couldn't really be more different. But that's the power of music. It just makes you think of things and reminds you of things that you would not think. That was possibly the worst sentence ever constructed by a sentient being, so I apologize for that. And on that note, I think let's leave that one there. I'm going to go and listen to this again. I really like her voice. Something about it. It's not the smoothest timbre or texture, but it has this natural gravitas to it, I feel. I don't know. Je ne sais quoi. Let me know your thoughts. What was your favorite thing about this song? Was it the lyrics? Was it her voice? Was it the harmony or the instrumentation? If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, so please do leave a like on the video. They really, really do help. Thank you once again, and I will see you in the next one.